This is the InfoMed Consulting Podcast, a show where we have engaging conversations with individuals in the medical technology industry. Sit back and enjoy.
Monir, welcome. Thank you for accepting to join me on this show. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here and talk to you. I mean, we try to organize that since a long time now. So.
Yeah, and I think with consulting, sometimes clients are just calling you urgently, and you have to drop everything and
I have an audit. Come now.
Yeah, exactly. Where are you? Where are you right now? Where are you based?
So I'm based in Switzerland. So what is funny is that I'm always saying that, but I'm in junction with 3 countries. So I'm based in Switzerland. I live officially in France, but I'm shopping in Germany. So I'm really in this square region, this cross region, where I'm really at the border for. So my house is really at the border of Switzerland and Germany, so I can go in both way to both countries. So it's really the cross of this in the region. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Can you maybe just tell us how you say your full name? I don't want to mess it up.
No problem. So Monir El Azzouzi. So it's a French style, but I'm French,
great.
So it's always like that. So
it sounds like a football player's name. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, Monir El Azzouzi. Like it sounds like you should be playing football or something.
I don't like football. I'm not following football.
Really?
I'm not playing
no
football.
Ways. Oh wow! I don't think we can be friends. I have to.
I'm following. I'm following only when it's national games like World Cup, European Cup, those kind of things, because I really like the national team. But to be honest, the clubs with the Liga and everything, I'm not really a fan of all those clubs, because at the end, more money you have, more players you have. So it's not like country related. It's really money related. So it's more fun.
I see. Okay, let's get more into why we're here. Otherwise, we're going to talk about different things.
No problem.
So I actually came across you maybe 3 years ago. I was working for a company. I was working in R&D, and we were doing a project for MDR. Back in those days, you had basically 1 year to get ready for MDR. So I was in charge of coming up with the MDR implementation plan, and then I found some of your work, I think, on your website on Easy Medical, and I thought, oh, this is pretty interesting. But it seems like you've put yourself out there, right? In the sense that you actually make a lot of content, you make a lot of instructional videos, you have a lot of instructional information. Can you maybe just tell me about your journey to getting to what you're doing now? Like, what's your background and things like that?
Yeah. So just to say that I didn't start medical devices a few years ago. I really started that in 2007, 2006, 2007 when I finalized my studies. So then I jumped directly in a job as quality and regulatory affairs specialist, engineer. So then I learned from there. So it was really a long journey. And then corporate jobs after corporate jobs, if I can say, you start to learn to learn business, to learn good business, to learn bad business, to learn good practices, bad practice. I mean, you start to have really some experience in that. It's like it's something that you cannot read on books. You cannot learn from just by reading. It's really something that you have to experiment. So the challenges, the way that people are looking at quality and regulatory affairs, the fact that we are not calling us a profit center, but more cost center, something that is more spending money than making you money.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the vision is really amazing when you see that, because when everything goes well, quality. Why do we have quality? And when everything goes wrong, it's like, oh, let's call quality because they have to help us to get out of this all this. So this is mainly the journey. And so my last job was with Johnson & Johnson with the Pucentes in Switzerland. So after a certain time, if I can say, I don't know why, but maybe it's the age. I was asking myself, what really I want to do in my life. I mean, what do I want? Just
Okay.
to work for those corporate companies, try to climb a ladder, try to get a senior particle on my job, like senior engineer, senior manager, senior director, senior. I mean, those kind of things, like doing that, or do I really want to build something for myself? So mainly this was the idea, because I had some kind of issues, some conflicts with my hierarchy, etc. So it was at the end I said, why should I go through all
Why
that?
bother?
Why should I bother with all that? I mean,
Okay.
it's strange. And at the end, you understand. Yeah, you need a job, you need money, you have a family, so you have to raise that. So at the end, it's more about what should I do, and then there came the idea of let me teach people about what I like also, because I wanted just to have something of as a side. I was still working at Johnson & Johnson, and then I decided to start Easy Medical Device. So which was
on the side.
initially on the side. It was really on the side. It was only a blog at the beginning, where I started to explain to people what is a medical device, the fact that it's easy, it's not so difficult, as long as people are not using those acronyms that nobody understood, or a lot of standard numbers, or a lot of things. Oh, I am ISO blah blah certified. I am this. I am that. What are you talking about? I mean, let's make things simple. So this was mainly the objective. And then from there, I had people contacting me and say, "Oh, I like what you are doing." I said, "Oh, let's continue. Then let's continue to teach people, because I see people liking." But I was still, as I've said, at Johnson & Johnson. I didn't. I was still working on my job. I was still driving my department. So it was not a problem. And after a certain moment, I had people that are really interested. I started first to move to video, because some people say, "Oh, reading is good, but do you have some videos?" So okay, let's make videos. And I saw the tendency of podcasts, so then I made also podcasts.
What year was this when you started going more to videos?
Sorry, when it was?
What year? In what year did you?
2018, I think. I think I started in 2018, in September 2018. Then I saw that my computer was not good enough, so I had to buy a new computer
and
to
a
make
microphone and a camera.
And microphone was I bought the cheapest microphone at the beginning, because I didn't have any budget for that at the beginning. So it was like, do with what you have.
Just get something.
I didn't buy any fancy microphone or whatever. So it's more about this one is the second microphone I have. It's I bought a more fancier one that makes better sound. But at the beginning, and it's what I want also to say to people, when you want to do this something like that, don't just need to buy fancy things or whatever. Take even your mobile phone or your microphone or whatever, and record yourself and do what you have to do.
No, absolutely.
So this is mainly the objective. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's an interesting journey. But at least it sounds like you enjoyed what you do, right? Because I like that you mentioned that you almost had a moment of asking yourself, like, why am I doing this?
Exactly.
So the business is actually more than just getting out of a job to be your own boss or whatever, but it's actually you actually ask yourself that question, which I really like, and you still enjoy the actual work of being in the medical industry.
So to be honest, I'm more enjoying the work being on the medical industry now than I was enjoying before.
Absolutely.
Even if before I was able to travel all over the world, I was able to meet a lot of people, etc. I still had this constraint where when I have a good idea, it has to go 3 feet up, etc. So just to get, if I can say, approval, and maybe come back 6 months after or 1 year after, when you don't have this idea anymore, you move to something else. So, and what I enjoyed, to be honest, is one day, I don't remember when, but one day I woke up and people were saying, "Oh, do you have a template for making a technical documentation?" And I would say, "Oh, I have something, but I think I have to tweak that up and have it." And at the end I say, why don't I make this template available to people? So then I wake up in the morning. It's literally that. I made the template, I created the template, I done anything. I put it on my I had to download some plugin on my website to make some to make people buy something like that. So I put that the same day. I put it there. In the evening, the document was available and ready for purchase. And the first person purchased that evening. So I was like that.
And was it
so easy? Was it so easy like that? I mean, and this was the moment I said, I made the right decision to leave corporate and to really open my own thing, because I'm not saying corporate is bad. I'm just saying, when you have some kind of mindset and want really to grow fast and this and that, sometimes being in a corporate job makes you, you have a good salary, but at the end you are blocked and you cannot really grow
Yeah.
easily. So this is mainly the idea here.
So if someone listening right now, there may be, they've just started out as a, regulatory affairs associate or quality engineer. They're starting out and they're hearing you talk about your journey. Is it possible that they'll think, is the future of regulatory and QA, is it to actually be independently owned companies instead of actually working for a corporate or working for a company? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I'm thinking of that more and more, because I'm starting now myself to offer back office services to companies.
Yeah.
Why? Because I have a lot of customers that are startups. They are small, they have no
Mhm.
department, they have
Yeah.
nothing like that, and they don't need a 100% time person to be there to create a
Yeah.
document or to approve something or this or that. Maybe they need 1 hour per week of this person or 2 hours per week, etc. So I was thinking of myself, how can I help them without, if I can say, putting their budget in trouble? And this
Yeah.
is something where I say, okay, let's have a back office service where I propose them. I say, okay, I have one
Yeah.
person from my team that you can contact, if I can say, days and nights, and you can tell them, okay, you do this and that, and you'll pay them per hour. So we are defining an hourly rate. We say, okay, this will take 2 hours, so here is what you pay. So you don't have to pay 100 time person the whole month or the whole day. You pay them just for what they are doing. But imagine now that I have 10 customers, then I can have this person hired within my organization,
Yeah.
and
And then
doing
you
the job for 10,
outsource.
exactly. They do the job for 10 customers. And what is enjoyable, if I can say, by doing that, is those people that are working with me, they are saying, oh, we are learning 10 times faster now
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
if we work for one customer, because
Just one customer.
I
Yeah.
just have a customer that is on a pacemaker business, the other on a wheelchair business, the other on a whatever kind of other device. And I learn so quickly, because I'm confronted with all the problematics of those people, understanding what is the issue that they have on the market. So I'm learning fast. So I really enjoy that also, because it's something where I also want my team and people working with me ha- being happy to work with me, if I can say. Not saying, oh,
Yeah.
again a day with where I will do this, I will do that. No, it's really diverse, and we are really going through a lot of things.
And at the moment, are you building that team already, or is this like a future?
Yes, we have some teams, some people that we are working for me 100%, and we have some people that we have on our team as consultants. So it means
Great.
that, for example, if I have a project where people are asking me, do you have somebody for packaging validation?
Yeah.
I say,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
I have somebody. Or do you have somebody to write a clinical evaluation report? Then I have somebody. So no need to have this person 100% of the time on my team. But when I need this person for a certain project, then I go to this person. So the idea is also that, is also to, not because myself alone I cannot do all what I'm doing alone. I mean, I mean, if you see me on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, or all what I'm doing, I'm trying to educate people, doing some training. Doing next week we have the green belt training, that where we are training people about medical device regulation. So it's a bit difficult
Yeah.
for me to say I will do everything and I will help you, etc., without
It's
a
not a
team or
good
without
it's
people.
not a good model actually, and I'm learning that very quickly because I started consulting in 2020,
Okay.
around April. And in the beginning, you have like one or two projects, so you can manage everything. But then things start growing, and you realize, wait, it's either I get a team together, or I might as well get a job, because you're just always working. You're never actually growing, and then you don't actually help your customers because you're just always busy doing the work. you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, you know how it started with me. So I was
Yeah.
afraid at the beginning when I quit Johnson and Johnson. It was like, will I have a customer? Will I have a project? Will I
Oh,
have it?
for sure.
When the
Yeah.
the first project landed to me, even before I started, I left Johnson and Johnson, because, as I've said, as I started my journey some years before on a side job, I already have a lot of content. I had people already ask me, "Are
Yeah.
you able to help us for this project and that project?" And at the beginning, I was saying no, because I was working for Johnson and Johnson, so it wasn't possible. So as soon as I left Johnson and Johnson, I had already some people that were asking, because I had built this journey. When I had one project was okay, as you've said. When I had two projects was okay, but when I start to have more and more, The problem I had is the decision I had is two things. Or, as you said, we are working 24/7 and it's like a nightmare and you hate your job then. Or
Yeah.
you say no to people.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I was not able to say no to people because it's not, and don't make me wrong. So it's not a question of money or budget or this and that. It's just a question because people contact me because they need help.
They need
And
help.
I
Yeah.
don't know why, but I have this thing that say
You want to help them. Yeah.
exactly, even for free, I will help you. Is that? But it's more about time. I don't have time. So it's when that at that moment I was thinking, what should I do? And then it's at that moment I say, okay, I need to find some people that can help me, that can do maybe the basic activities or that can handle some small projects, because sometimes it was small projects, small things to do. So no need to be like a full team of 10 people. So at the end, I made this decision to then start to find some partners, to find some people to help me, etc. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was. I never thought of that at the beginning when I started my activity.
Yeah, for sure. So you're someone who you're a teacher. You like training people,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people that watch this. Well, the people that watch this are not necessarily in the industry. Some people are just listening, and watching. And we're going to talk a little bit about regulation and regulatory affairs in Europe. But before we do that, can you just explain to us, why do we regulate devices, and in Europe specifically, what's a short history of the regulatory mechanism, for maybe the past 20 years or something?
Yeah. So you have to understand that in Europe, before 1993, it was the wild west or far west.
Really? Okay.
It was really like that. I had some stories from when I started my activities. I had some stories from people that were on the business since 40, 50 years. And they said, we saw the first regulation coming out, but before that, it was, we can do whatever we want. So it was
Really?
like, we can sell whatever we want at whatever price we want, at whatever thing we want. So, and then the regulation came about putting in place some rules to place those devices on the market, putting in place also of pricing, because there are people that say, oh, it's healthcare, so people will sell their house to get some healthcare things. So because to make their family safe, etc. So then we had those regulations that came out. The regulation were okay, if I can say. It was not like high, it was not like low, but it was in the middle. And more and more we are growing in Europe. So there is new technologies that come, like surgical robots, like mobile applications, like artificial intelligence, like 3D printing, like all those things. And when you make those you compare those new technologies to the regulation that is of before, you see that a lot of them are becoming class one, which means class one in Europe is self-certification. So nobody is really looking at what you are doing. So, and then the authorities say, okay, those technologies start to be dangerous. It creates some problems. So let's modify the regulation to also include them inside our system and then make them understand. So, for example, a software that before was mandatory to be class one, because a software at that time was not like with intelligence, was not making anything. Now it can be 2A, 2B, or 3, so it can be like high risk device also. So it's something that people are learning now, and because of that, there were a lot of struggle. So people were now having some issues to say, my device it was a class 1 device before, now it's become a class 2A, so I have to do all this, I have to get a notified body, etc., which creates some problem. But the move was, if I can say, a smooth move from 0 to a bit and to high. So it's like there is a move here, but yeah, at the end, this is logical. I mean, it's not something that is crazy. It's really logical. The only issue we have with these regulations is that there is a lot of room for interpretation. So it means that when you read it, it's like theology, if I can say. When you read the Bible, from one person and the other, they understood two different things. And here is the same. You read the regulation, I understand something, some odd bodies understand something, and the notified body who is evaluating us understands something completely different. So it's like a bit a nightmare sometimes. But yeah, it's tougher. It's more difficult. I mean, before we had 80 pages around, or 60 plus 20 pages for the MDD, and the medical device directive and the active implantable medical device directive. 80 pages. Now we have 175. So
Yeah.
it's like more than the double. So it's like what's that? So then there is more requirements, more things to do, and people are struggling because of this thing. But it's logical. It's not something that is exaggerated. It's logical.
Okay, so that was going to be my next question, because when the regulations eventually came into force, I think it was last year, 26 May.
Yeah.
A lot of people, it seemed like the industry was split in two, right? A lot of people were saying, this is really bad for the industry. We're going to pull out, et cetera. And then on the other side, there were people more like yourself saying, this is actually good, right? Do you think that
I will not say good. I would say
it's good, but
it can be fair, if I can say, but
it's okay. Fair is a better word.
Bad or good depends where you are. So as you said, some people are bad for them, some people good for them. I'm not on the side good or bad. I'm more on the side fair for me.
Unfair. And you think it's fair?
I think what you're saying? This is the point. There is some degree of fairness, if I can say. So there are some elements inside the regulation that I find fair, and there are other things that I say I don't know. To be honest, I'm not really convinced of.
So you're not one of those. You're not one of those, let's say, fatalist type of people that are saying we don't need the MDR. It's too much, right? It's too over-regulated.
No. We need that. We need the MDR. The difficulty or the issue that happened with that, and it's why I'm here. If I can say, I hope I contribute to that. Is the information and education of this regulation. It was not made there was no enough information and education of industry about that. They were just saying to people, something is coming.
Get ready.
Then get ready. Exactly. I mean, and then it's at that time I started to see some people asking questions. It was good question. Why this? Why that? How this? How that? How to do this? And for me, it should have been the government or the EU Commission that is really taking this lead of educating, explaining, and doing the job. But as there was a hole at that place, then we started to enter as consultants there to explain, even to make mistakes. Sometimes I make also mistake because I thought I interpreted on that way, but when I listened to another person say, no, it's not that, it's that way. So, oh, really? Oh, I didn't know. So sometimes we make mistake, but it's the point of that we are all learning. We are all learning. Okay. So you have people that are quick learner. You have people that don't like to learn. So they say, I don't need that. I mean, I remember when I started my job, it was, I started to try to implement some quality management system to companies and regulatory, etc. And I had always those aged people that were there since many years. And they said to me, oh, but before we were doing like that, was always working. Why should I change, etc. So it was always those kind of mindset, which I understand. I mean, as I said, the change is difficult. I mean, a lot of people want change, but nobody wants to change. So it's mainly that is happening. So the point here is to say, yes, the regulation is there. It's more requirements. There is more things to do. There will be people that will like it, people that will not like it. There will be people that will accept it, people not accepting it. The same as, when I'm doing what I'm doing on the net, on the internet, I know that some people like what I'm doing and some people don't like what I'm doing. So you cannot satisfy everybody here.
Yeah. I mean, the only difference that I would say is with the regulation, whether you like it or not, you have to follow it. You don't really have a choice.
But the problem is problem is on the notified body side. Because as I've said, you have a regulation, but as I've said also, the problem is that the people that will be judging you on this regulation are humans. And if you take a human from a notified body 1 and a human from a notified body 2, they will maybe have two different mindset, and they say, oh, this is acceptable, and say, no, this is not acceptable, and it's like a fight. So this is the only problem, but it's not a problem that came with MDR. It's a problem that was even before with MDD, with everything. So the only thing is that it's humans who are judging us, and as those humans have no experience, it's new for them. So it's like trying to swim, if I can say, in a lake of shark, and trying to say, will I be still alive after that? But at the end, we have to understand that there is a lot to digest, a lot to learn, a lot to interpret. And I think maybe we will be in a safer mode or more relaxed mode in 2 or 3 years.
In a few years,
when we will get more experience on that.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I think there was an obvious resistance to MDR when it came. That was the general sense that I got, and I maybe was also on the side of resisting. But at the same time, I knew that I had to learn how to do this because I'm going to have to do this for some clients. And then I realized exactly what you're saying is that it's going to take time because it's quite a new thing and no one really knows what's happening. But in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it's going to be the norm and no one will really complain about it. At least
it will be normal.
That's the hope.
It will be normal. Everybody will be following that. They will say, it was the transition to MDR. Yeah, it was easy. It was fine. I mean, they are not recognizing now that it's difficult. It's just that later they will say, it was fine. It was 1 year. We had a big time of work, but after that we passed the audit. And mainly, the result of the audit will condition if people find it easy or not. If they pass the audit, it says, it's easy. If they don't pass the audit, it was really difficult. The auditor was not nice with us, etc. So each one has its own interpretation also.
I get a lot of questions lately. Well, I'm working on at the moment 2 projects, MDR related, and I'm getting a lot of questions in terms of, so I want to go to Europe. What do I do? And sometimes my answer is not very good because I tell them I haven't found a way to condense the process because it's a long, very involved process. And what do you tell people that ask you, so what process do I follow to go to MDR? Just in a conversation,
So first, I would say, do you have a quality management system following ISO 13485? If they say no, I say, okay, this is the first thing you have to build a quality management system. Prepare that. Then I say, do you have a technical file with information that are mentioned in Annex 2 and Annex 3 of the regulation?
I don't know.
They say no, then they say you have to have that. Then you want to go to Europe, so you need to have a notified body. Have you already identified the notified body that can help you? Because now the problem is that there is a big bottleneck for notified bodies, so they don't have all the resources to help you. Then when those 3 things are sorted, the next is, do you have an authorized representative in Europe? Because you are located maybe outside of Europe, so do you have an authorized representative in the region? So it's a company that is located there, and we are doing that. Myself, my company is doing that also. We are representing manufacturers that are located outside of Europe. And the last one is, do you have an importer? So somebody that will be receiving your devices or accepting your device in the market. So here are the 5 things that you need. As soon as you have that, it's fine. You can go to the EU market. I mean, I make it short because you asked me to make it short. But it's those 5 things. As soon as you have those 5 things, it's fine. You can go to Europe.
And more specifically, so that was the bigger picture. More specifically, so someone has these 5 things, and now you start the process, and maybe you're even getting close to being ready for the audit. What would you say are some of the stumbling blocks for manufacturers? Like, what are the areas that people are struggling with the most in terms of complying to the requirements? If there's anything like that.
Clinical data.
No. I was hoping you would not say that.
No, this is, I mean,
that's what I'm hearing, and I'm experiencing it also. It's
what we learned with the MDR is that medical device manufacturers have bad clinical data. They don't have clinical data.
Is this a result of MDD?
It's not a result of MDD. I mean, a bit. It's a result of MDD. But what we discovered also is that the requirements for clinical data are nearly the same between MDD and MDR. So why this kind of gap?
This gap.
The gap is due to MDR and the rule for designation of notified bodies. So notified bodies are, before you can be a notified, it was easy to be a notified body before. Anybody can try to be a notified body. If he has a friend in the authority, he can get an accreditation, and then he can be a notified body. Now, being a notified body is a nightmare. So, I have some. It was funny because I had some people, I think, from Middle East or those regions, and they are asking me, Monir, I want to open a notified body in Europe. Do you want to be part of the thing? I say, no, I don't want.
Can we actually just say what a notified body is? Can we maybe explain that quickly?
So, when you are going to the US, you are submitting your files to the FDA, which is the authority that is receiving your documentation, approving, etc.
Yes, the
In Europe, this
regulator.
authority is not existing. In Europe, as we have multiple countries, they delegated this role of evaluation and giving what we call a CE certificate or CE mark to notified bodies. So notified bodies is a company like you and me that can create any company in Europe.
Private companies,
and then they go to the EU Commission or to the authority where they are of their country, and they say, I want to be a notified body. Can you give me a license to be a notified body? So then they will get audited. They will check their quality management system. I mean, they will do the same as what they are doing to a manufacturer. They will check manufacturing management system. They will check that the auditors or the assessors are qualified. They will check that. I mean, they will make all the check to verify if you are good to be a notified body or not. And then you become a notified body, you are listed on their database, and then you can provide certificates to that. But before you can be a notified body, it was easy, if I can say. But now every periodical, multiple times per year, the notified bodies are audited themselves by the EU Commission or by the authorities to verify that they are continuously doing the good job. So they are verifying which non-conformities they are providing to some customers. They are checking what is the answers they provide to them. They're checking if they provide certificates to the right person. So it's a nightmare for notified bodies, to be honest. It's a nightmare. So I would say it would have been good to be a notified body before the MDR, but now with the MDR, it's not. So which change then the perception of notified bodies to the clinical data, clinical evaluation, etc. Now they are really looking at it.
Okay, I see.
They are really checking everything, and they are checking that each indication that you are placing for your device is backed up by some clinical data. So you say, my device is able to save your life by doing this and that and that. And they say, prove that to me. How can you prove that to me? Oh, but my competitor has the same device. Can you prove me that it's exactly the same device?
And
yeah, but the shape is different. The color is different. Everything is different. So how can you make it similar?
Monir, when we say clinical data, what do we mean specifically? Because I'm sure someone can demonstrate that their device can do what it says it does with some electrical testing or some performance testing.
No, what is
clinical data?
So here, what you are describing is preclinical. Preclinical is more laboratory tests.
Yes, absolutely.
Animal studies, cadaver lab, those kinds of are preclinical study. Clinical is used on a real human being. So mainly this is the fact that you have tested your device on a real human being, for example, through a clinical investigation, or the fact that you gather data through other elements, or as I've said, that you are saying that your device is completely, and it's important to understand that, completely similar to a device that is already on the market and that is already approved for MDR. As soon as you do that, you can then use the clinical data of this device and use that for your device. But if you cannot prove this equivalence, you cannot do this link with the clinical data. So a lot of manufacturers gave up with Europe because they have no clinical data. They are selling this device since 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
They are selling the devices. And I had a customer that says to me, I don't have enough clinical data. I said, how can you? You are selling this since 20, 30 years. You never thought about gathering some clinical data to prove that your device is fine? No, I never. It was too much, expensive, etc. And it was working without doing that. So why should I invest on that? Now they stopped in Europe because they have nothing and they cannot do that.
Yeah, so, it's interesting. The equivalence model is interesting because for the FDA 510K, I mean, it's not the same level of
it's predicate. It's
so you compare
equivalent. We call it substantially equivalence. It's completely different. And I have a lot of American people that say, "Oh, don't worry, we submitted that to the FDA. It's equivalent, etc." I say, "No, it's not equivalent. It's substantially equivalent. It's not the same." Here we talk about completely equivalent.
Okay, so they really went. And can we maybe explain why the MDR went into this level of depth with clinical data and showing that your device is actually doing what it says it does? I mean, I'll let you say the story because I know that there's a story that that stalled for why MDR was created, right? There was an incident in the field.
This is what people
Is
think.
that a myth? Please, okay, please.
No, it's not a myth. So you have to understand that in 2009, 2008, 2009, those years, we had a company in France that is called PIP, so poly implant prosthesis, something like that. So they were manufacturing breast implants, and at a certain time, the company was in financial difficulty, and they said, okay, to maybe make products that are similar to what we are doing but cheaper, we'll, instead of putting medical grade gel inside our silicone implants, we'll put some industrial gel. It's the
To
same. The
cut the
feeling will be the
costs,
same.
but
Because
it's
of the
cheaper.
cost, exactly. Because to reduce the cost. So they say it's the same. It's a gel. I mean, whatever. So I mean, anyway, it's not touching the patient because it's inside this envelope. So there is no need then to buy this medical grade gel because of that. Then they started to do that. The employees of the company were accepting, if I can say. I mean, I don't know the story inside the company, but
internally,
they were doing what the boss was telling them to do. Even during audits, those purchasing people, they were changing all their database to show that they are buying the medical grade gel instead of the industrial one.
Okay.
They were taking all the tanks of industrial gel and put them in another facility somewhere else and things while the audit was coming. And then after the coming audit left, then they are sending that back. I mean, this was the story. I don't know if the accuracy is fine, but this was the story. And then after a few years, we saw that on patient that the industrial gel was eating the membrane. And then at the end, it was really leaking inside the patients, and it was really dangerous for the patient. And we started to see those images coming from where we see all those breast implants that were all yellow instead of white as the other one. And from there, people were thinking, oh, because the regulation is not strict enough, you have to make a regulation happening, etc. And this scandal happened after the EU Commission already started to work on a new framework for the medical device regulation. So the EU Commission already started to do that even without having this kind of scandal. But this scandal accelerated, if I can say, the work of this new regulation. At the same year of the scandal, the unannounced audit where all notified bodies were making unannounced audit. And the unannounced audit was not new. It was in the regulation. It's just that nobody was using that. Now it was like mandatory to use that. Every 2 years, you had to do an unannounced audit. So this was kind of an accelerator, but it's not the origin of the EU MDR.
Okay, that's very, I mean, you mentioned it earlier, right? That because I asked you whether you thought the MDR was fair, good or bad, etc. And you said it's normal that it's happening. It's almost like the logical progression, right? To go from something like the MDD to the MDR.
Exactly.
And then I would be curious to know your thoughts on what would the future be of regulation in Europe in 10 years? Will they be like a new version of MDR? Will they, like what do you think is going to happen in the regulatory?
So, for me, I think the technologies will drive the regulation. I mean, the regulation is following the technologies. More there is invention, innovation, etc. More regulation that will come to try to understand that and then to regulate that and to put that in place. Maybe there will be tomorrow a cryptocurrency specific for healthcare that is using. I don't know. I'm inventing, but then actually the regulation we have today is not maybe fit for that, and then there will be some changes to try to follow. But a regulation is not moving ahead of technologies. It's really following up.
And I mean, I don't think it should move ahead of technology.
No, it should not, because
it's also not fast enough. Yeah.
And it was funny because I saw that on the, we have a new annex under the MDR, which is Annex 16 for non-medical device purpose. So products that have no medical purpose, but they are regulated within the medical device regulation, like contact lenses that are used for coloring your eyes, or like brain stimulation. You have those things that you put on your brain just for relaxation. It has nothing to do with medical. It's just relaxation, sophrology, or this kind of thing, etc. And what was funny is that there is some common specification that were published and where it's talking about how you regulate those non-medical purpose devices. And inside there are some mentions of some new innovation that are not on the scope of this, like contact lenses which have some microfilm, some chip on it, that maybe for virtual reality things, or I don't know, that you can see directly with your with this contact lens. And this was it's out of scope, and they said a lot of technologies that were out of scope. So it means that they are aware of some technologies, but they put them out of scope for now because they have not enough information about them.
Okay, that's very it's interesting to see, like, in the world, like any country that I've either worked with or thinking about working with, the regulation is always either it's kind of close enough to the technology or it's just very far. And I think the danger sometimes is that the regulators try to have this regulation that covers the anticipated technologies that they think will come out, but
Exactly.
then it doesn't always work like that,
No, because I think if you put this restriction, you will the problem will be the innovation. People will not be able to innovate because they say I'm blocked here. They say that we can do only that, and if I go above that, that maybe I'm not on the regular. I'm out of law, etc. So here they say, okay, we'll give you the opportunity to move as far as you can, and then we'll see what is really the limit, what is really the thing that we say, no, this is not acceptable anymore, etc., etc. So I think this is for me the best way. But
No, I was just going to say it's like this is a rebuttal for MDR that a lot of people have, is that it's too strict. I'm just taking that side of the argument. It's too strict, so it means that a lot of people know that they have to go through this long process, and they just decide to not, including the notified bodies, right? Because they know. Don't you think that's something that could impact the industry in a negative way in the next few years?
Yes and no. Yes, because it can impact the industry in the negative way, because every startup or every people that have a good idea will struggle more to get to the market. But yes, it's good for me because a lot of actors that are manufacturers of medical devices are doing that already the wrong way. They are here just to sell. They are not here to make regulation, whatever. I have a lot of people that contacts me and say, now I have to follow the MDR, and I'm selling this product since 20 years. But now I'm blocked. My importer asked me for that document, because now it's also new. The importers, the authorized representatives, the economic operators have to ask for documentation, and they are liable. It means that if they don't have those documents and they accept to place a device on the market, they are liable. They can go to jail, if I can say. Here we have a lot of manufacturers that say, oh, I need those documents. Can you make that for me? I say yes. And this will cost this amount because it's a lot of work to make that. And they are, oh, you are stealing me, or it's not good, etc. I say, go to ask somebody else. It's fine. I'm fine. Don't worry. I'm not here to steal your money or whatever. You can do whatever. But at the end, people don't really understand, and those people give up. And for me, it's good because it's really a struggle. It's already a struggle just to explain to them and for them to understand. And then when you see that, you see they are not really passionate by the field or the business. They are just passionate by the fact that they can get money, etc. I'm not really a fan of those kind of people that have no consciousness that they are selling medical devices that can endanger the life of a people, etc. So I'm not really fan of helping those kind of people here. And when I see somebody that is really passionate and like it, etc., I'm here like, oh, even if I can say, I'm really happy to spend some nights and help you. I'm really happy. But for somebody that is just here to say, oh, give me that, like a formula, when you are going to ask for a passport or whatever, can you fill me just that form and send that to me? I will pay you $100 and it's fine. I mean, no, guy, it's not working like that. This will take maybe 100 hours to create that. I'm at this rate, and this is this amount, and oh, you are too expensive. Okay, go to somebody else. You'll see.
I think I'm not so expensive. I like what you're saying a lot, because it highlights what we spoke about in the beginning, is that people treat regulatory and quality like a cost point, and not they don't see the value in it. And I think part of why I want to do what I'm doing, and I'm sure part of why you want to educate people, is to show people that we're not just doing this because we want to charge people a lot of money. It's actually, when you do it correctly, it's actually, in the end, for your business, it's a value added. and I think I agree also that we need to educate people. People don't really understand the process. They just see, oh my goodness, there's 123 articles. There's 23 or whatever sections of general safety requirements. It's so much work, but they don't actually. People struggle to see the.
I'm trying to some people, because I'm trying, even as I said, there are some people that are not on that business but they want to learn, so I'm really happy to teach them. And sometimes when I try to explain how what is a quality management system, what is a regulation technical file, etc., I explain to them a quality management system is like, you go to the UK and you want to drive a car, you have to follow the driving law, if I can say if there is this sign stop, you have to stop. If there is this speed limit, you have to go at this speed limit. This is exactly that, a quality management system, but for your company. If you receive this complaint, here is how you will act. Here is the information you'll ask. Here is the maybe process after that. If you receive, if you do some kind of regulatory submission, here is the documents you have to fill. It's the law of how you will execute the activities. And imagine now you have 100 people in your company and you have maybe 10 people that are in charge of complaints. If you don't have those processes, the person number one will do it in one way, the person number two in another way, the person number three in another way. So then you'll have 10 ways to do the things and nobody will be understanding how this is working. And you say, oh, but you missed to ask this one. Oh, but you missed to ask that. Oh, but you missed to this. And this is why a quality management system is helping. And now inside, when you drive, if I can say in the UK, it's not mandatory to drive with a BMW or Mercedes.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah. You can buy any car you want.
And then you put the products like that. You say, but there is specifications for those cars. They should have some lights, red lights at the back, white lights in the front, some blinkers for moving, etc. They all have that, but the shape is completely different. And this is that the regulation also is to say your products can be of different phases, etc. You just have to fulfill the requirements of the regulation in terms of having a risk management file, having a usability testing, having a biocompatibility for implantables, having a whatever. I mean, you have to have that to show that your product is safe to be on the market. Like you have planes that are flying. Would you go on a plane that is flying from a company that has no quality management system, no technical file, no testing, nothing? I mean, nobody will do that. So why would you accept to buy a medical device from a company that has nothing of that? So it's why manufacturers have to understand that this is not for making their life difficult. It's to make their life easier, because when everything is going well, there is no issue. But when there will be an issue on the market, then, we call quality, come save us, save our life. Why we have done this? I mean, this is the issue. So this is mainly what I'm trying to fight for. So it's mainly to say, and it's why I call my company Easy Medical Device, because I want to make things easy, guys. It's really easy. It's not like so difficult, but you just have to have some common sense, if I can say, for that.
And we've been talking for almost 50 minutes. Just to finish off, can you maybe just tell us what your company exactly is doing, and how do you help people, and how can people actually that are in need of this knowledge and this training, how can they interact with you?
So mainly, my company is growing and growing and growing, and not because
I want it to
grow. It's not because I want it to grow. It's because each time I have people that say, "Oh, can you do this for us? Can you do that for us? Can you do this for us?" etc. And they say, I mean, I say, I think myself, can I do it? Yes or no? And if I can, then I do it. If I cannot, I say, can I create this service? And I do it then. And if I cannot create the service, or it's too busy, I say, do I have a partner to help those people? Because the idea for me is helping the manufacturers to place compliant medical devices on the market. Yes, there is business behind that. There is also, I mean, I need to eat. I need to have a house. I need to this, but it's not. The idea here is to really, my passion is really to help medical device that goes on the market, to say they are safe. As I said, my family can use those devices. Maybe they will be on the surgery room, and if I find that the product is made from me, I say, okay, I'm completely confident this product is good because I tested that everything is okay. My motto is like that. Would I give this product to a member of my family? So if I say yes, it means that yes, we are good. So my company is helping medical device manufacturers, specifically because people are asking me on quality and regulatory affairs. not logistic, not manufacturing, not all those things. So I'm
Yeah.
really quality and regulatory affairs, only medical devices, because I have people asking me, are you pharma? Are you
Pharma,
cosmetical?
yeah.
No, I am medical devices. And it's enough. To be honest, it's enough. If
It's
I
a
want to
lot of
grow,
work.
yeah, it's already a lot of
It's
work.
yeah,
So I am doing consulting. So if you have any question about quality and regulatory affairs,
yeah,
I am helping. And training. So I'm training a lot of people all over the world about MDSAP, EU MDR,
yeah,
about all those trainings, FDA, etc. I am doing also, as I've said, because people ask me, I am doing authorized representative in Europe, because I have some customers say, oh, I want an authorized representative. Can you do
yeah.
that for me? Then after Swixit, I've done that in Switzerland. Then after Brexit, I've done that in the UK. So I opened 3 offices, one in the UK, in
Okay, that's why
Manchester.
you're moving
Exactly, one in
quite a bit.
Belgium, in Anvers, and one in Switzerland, in Basel. So I opened 3 offices. Then I can be the representative of all those companies. Now I'm starting to be also importer. In the regulatory term, I'm not importing or buying any device, but I am clearing the
Mhm.
devices for being
Yeah,
placed on the market. Because, as I've said, companies ask me, "Can you do that?" Say, "Okay, let's create the service for that." And lastly, I'm partnering with a lot of companies also. And one of the company and the project that I'm working on actually is creation of an electronic quality management system. I hope in May this will be launched. So it's an electronic quality management system which is called Smart Eye. So the idea
okay.
was, I have a lot of companies that says, do you know an electronic quality management system that is working well? And I say, okay, I don't, but let's create one.
Let's
So
make
as I
one.
said,
Yeah,
you don't know, can you do it? No, I can. Yes, I can. So let's create it directly. So it's more
yeah,
like, if it's not existing, let's create it. Why should I go and try to buy something that maybe is not suitable for me? Let's create
yeah.
it and
Fair
have
enough.
in mind what is really working there.
Fair enough. That's great. I mean, you sound. I feel like I do nothing because you sound so busy. And it's not to say that I don't do nothing. My plate is really full, but it's good to it's very motivating to hear that you sound very excited about all these things. It's
No, no,
not like it's
I,
not a
I, I
burden.
am I am really excited. I really like
Yeah,
my job. I like what I'm doing. And one thing that maybe is the reason why, as I said, from the beginning, where I started my journey as a consultant or creating easy medical device, I never had to promote my business in the kind of Google ads or Facebook things or whatever. I never
yeah, yeah,
had to promote my business through some
yeah.
journals or whatever. All what I have to do is to give to people. I give a lot to people. I give
I see.
training, I give videos, I give everything. I give for free. It's what I'm saying. If with what I'm providing to you, you can do it by yourself, good for you. Do it, no problem. I'm really happy to help you. But I know that we have some companies that says, you know better than me how to do that. It will take me a long time to learn and to do. Can I hire you and do it for me? And then this is how it's working. For me, give as much as you need, and then people, if they need, they take. If they cannot do it by themselves, then they can call me and I can help them for that.
That's really great advice. It's very good advice. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no,
Great.
this has been a very insightful conversation. Thanks again for taking the time to reschedule. I know
No
we
problem.
missed the
And I hope it
opportunity
will be
last time.
helping. It will be helping people. I hope really it will be helping people
Absolutely, yeah.
on their journey.
Yeah, and I'd be happy to do this again. I enjoy, especially. I think we need to build almost a community of regulatory, or we need to connect more because it's clear that the industry is shifting more to a back office model, like you said, and
Exactly.
I'm very excited to talk to people like you more and more, and yeah, and see
When you
what
want.
happens.
Let's try. No problem.
So yeah,
When you
great.
want. And if you have people that
Yeah.
are asking questions specifically, so we can have another session and answering their question also. So no problem for me.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, definitely we'll keep that in mind. So that's it for today.
Great. So thank you,
Well, yeah,
Hervé. It
thank you
was
so
really a
much.
pleasure.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you for joining us for this engaging conversation. To find out more about InfoMed, visit infomed-consult.org. See you next time.